Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com as always, and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoDQCAW, and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. We are now just 2 weeks away from the biggest party of the summer, according to WWE, with a match that is just too big for WrestleMania of all places. Undertaker and Brock Lesnar will take place at Summerslam, and NoDQ.com has got you covered with the latest regarding this blockbuster match too big for WrestleMania. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest details. They could be the biggest details that are too big for the internet itself. Got your questions here from twitter.com/AaronRift. So let's get started today with the first one from M.W. Livingston. Do you think Sheamus will cash in Money in the Bank at SummerSlam? I don't see them waiting until after WrestleMania for him to cash it in. I love these questions. Anytime somebody wins Money in the Bank, I get the questions literally every month. Will so-and-so cash it in at SummerSlam? Will so-and-so cash it in at Night of Champions? Will so-and-so cash it in at Hell in a Cell? I always get these questions. Now, with Sheamus, I think that there's a decent possibility he will cash it in soon. I think it's more unpredictable with him. With Seth Rollins, I knew Brock Lesnar being WWE Champion would likely mean Rollins was going to wait until at least WrestleMania to cash in Money in the Bank, even possibly after that. But with Sheamus, he could really cash it in at any time, and SummerSlam might be a suitable place for it. One potential finish WWE could do is Sheamus comes out at the end and does what Rollins did at WrestleMania, tries to cash it in right there at SummerSlam. Since it is the biggest event of the summer, that's 4 hours, it's such a big deal, would make logical sense for the Sheamus character to want to cash it in at SummerSlam, right? Since WWE's trying to make such a big deal out of it. Sheamus comes in, it's a triple threat match, and then John Cena beats Sheamus to win the WWE title. Screwjob finish, but that way Seth Rollins doesn't have to take the fall, and just like that, you have your Night of Champions main event set, Seth Rollins getting his rematch against John Cena due to the fact that he was never beat for the title. That is very much a possibility if WWE wants to protect Seth Rollins, and I really feel they should. Not really crazy about a screwjob finish, but that is something you could do, and I'd rather see that than Sheamus successfully cash in Money in the Bank. And I got this question here from The Last Lulu. What's your impression about the anti-Cena crowd reaction from One Night Stand 2006 versus RVD? Could this happen at SummerSlam? The reaction to John Cena at the One Night Stand pay-per-view, that was something that was one of a kind, to steal a phrase from RVD. It was a very unique situation, and WWE has been careful not to recreate that environment. For one thing, they don't have John Cena performing in front of 2,000 diehard former ECW fans and hardcore wrestling fans. They try to keep John Cena out of those circumstances, but this is going to be the closest thing to a hostile crowd, similar to One Night Stand, just on a much larger scale. It is in New York. It's in Brooklyn. You're going to have a lot of people booing John Cena. Will it be as bad as One Night Stand? I don't think it will be, but it's still going to be pretty significant, I think. But who knows? Maybe the fact that John Cena broke his nose, maybe some fans will feel more sympathetic towards John Cena and they'll cheer him or they'll go easy on him. I don't think that'll happen. I think the New York fans are going to boo him. I mean, if Raw this past week was any indication, the crowd was cheering Seth Rollins when he talked about breaking John Cena's nose. I think it's a very likely scenario where John Cena is booed out of the building, like he's been in the past, like Chicago when he faced CM Punk. It's going to be that type of reaction where it's going to be, I'm predicting it's going to be about 90% boos for John Cena. And that might be all the more reason why WWE goes with the Sheamus option, so that way there won't be as much of a negative reaction for John Cena beating Sheamus, because people just don't care about Sheamus like they do Seth Rollins. All right, this one comes from Beast Slayer. if John Cena wins the title again, do you see Brock Lesnar and himself feuding one last time? Oh man, please don't even suggest that idea. The last thing I want to see at this point is John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. But hell, if they do a cool pull-apart brawl... Oh wait, they did that already. But what the hell? Just do it again. Do another pull-apart brawl because that equals an awesome segment, and that will get people excited, and that will get the people that are complaining all the time silenced. Do a breakup segment where they're all trying to get in there in between them and keep them away from each other, or do an angle where John Cena cannot touch Brock Lesnar. Oh, this is captivating television, and those internet critics like Aaron Riff, they just like to complain about stuff. WWE could very well do John Cena and Brock Lesnar again, and I would be shocked if they didn't at some point. I don't know if it's going to happen in the near future, but it would not surprise me. John Cena and Brock Lesnar, I could see that match happening at least one more time. Maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. Who knows? I really hope it doesn't. I have no desire to see John Cena versus Brock Lesnar again, just like I really had no desire to see Undertaker and Brock Lesnar again. So it's just my personal taste. I'm sure that WWE could book that match and people will just accept it and just go along for the ride and not complain about it. You know, there'll be the people, of course, like myself, that complain and then just continue watching because they're idiots, especially in my case. But yeah, like I said, I have no desire to see it again, but I could very well see WWE doing that match again, especially if they really don't know what else to do, if they really don't have any other opponent for Brock Lesnar. And quite frankly, they really don't. There's not a whole lot of guys left for Lesnar to face. I've mentioned Randy Orton and Batista, but there's no indication right now that WWE is planning to put Lesnar in there with either of those guys. All right, this one comes from Gunman Dude on Twitter. How would you bring back Kane? I personally would not want to see him masked again. I would rather see a 2004 Kane. Your opinion? Well, essentially, right now, it is 2004 Kane, except he's not scary and he has hair. But we've seen Kane without the mask as a heel. It only makes sense to me to bring him back with the mask because that will guarantee a pop right there. Him coming out with the mask will automatically establish him as a babyface to fans, and that will get a reaction out of people. And, it's good merchandising. The masks sell merchandise. Kane is marketable with a mask, and when the time comes that he's going to end his career, I would have him end it with the mask. That's what makes sense to me, at least. I could see him coming back as a babyface with a mask, and then a year from now, he goes back to being the bald-headed heel authority Kane or whatever, and the cycle will just keep repeating itself. But if he's going to come back, I'd like to see him come back for one last babyface run with the mask, and then end his career on a high note and let that be it. But that's wishful thinking on my part. All right, this one comes from Jason Snyder. First time asker. If the Montreal Screwjob never happened and Bret stayed in WWE, who do you think he would have feuded with? Well, it's really hard to say if Bret would have remained in WWE despite the Montreal Screwjob. If Vince wanted to keep him around and kept paying him that big contract, I think Bret would have eventually retired, after a couple of years. He may have feuded with Austin some more. They might have had another match or two, but besides the whole financial aspect of Bret's problems with Vince, Bret was not happy with the direction of the product. He did not like the adult-oriented content, and he was very vocal about it. I mean, he went along with some of that stuff. He participated in the angles where he called Shawn and Hunter a couple of homos. He did that stuff, but he made it clear he wasn't really a big fan of that direction. So for all we know, maybe he would have just gotten out regardless of the financial problems he was having with Vince and the disagreement over his contract. It's really hard to say. All right, this one comes from Wrestling Addict 100. Hey Aaron, what are your thoughts on the NXT Divas division now that Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky are on the main roster? Well, it's definitely not as strong as it was before with those NXT Divas being a part of the main roster now. There's definitely a void, but WWE's trying to fill that up with Eva Marie. Don't know how well that's going to work. They still have a few talented women there. They still have I'm drawing a blank here. So this just goes to show you how much I'm paying attention to this. Bailey was the person I'm trying to think of. They have a few talented divas there, or excuse me, women. I shouldn't call them divas. When they're in NXT, they're serious wrestlers. They're not divas until they get onto the main roster, of course. They have a few talented women there, and then they have Eva Marie. And I think they'll be okay. They'll bring in more women, and hopefully they'll continue to bring in more women that are good. And hopefully they don't go back to the way they were before, where they bring in women that are models and they try to turn them into wrestlers. Eva Marie. So we'll see what happens. Right now, there's definitely a void, and that is the downside to bringing in too many people in a short period of time. I talked about in previous videos, I think it's best if you spread it out over time. You bring in one person every 4 or 5 months, and when you bring in like 3 or 4 people in a short period of time and do an invasion angle, yes, it heats up the division on the main roster, but then you're left without that many people in the developmental program. All right, this one comes from Walter Main, 1989. Do you think with how he has lost some momentum that Kevin Owens will become WWE World Heavyweight Champion? I'd like to say yes, but I think it's going to take a lot of luck for Kevin Owens to become WWE Champion. Much like Daniel Bryan, I think it's going to take a series of events to occur for Kevin Owens to possibly have that opportunity. With Daniel Bryan, there were so many things working against him being WWE Champion. And he even said it himself in his book that he felt like all these things happened, and if they didn't happen, he would have never been WWE Champion. CM Punk leaving and the fans, completely crapping on Batista. All these things happened, and Daniel Bryan just kind of fell into place, and all the stars aligned with him. With Kevin Owens, I think it's going to be the same thing. I really hate to say it, but Kevin Owens, WWE gave him his push, and now he's moving down the card. And I think he will be a regular on WWE television, I think, for as long as he can go. As long as he can go out there and perform at a main event level, he'll at least be on the main shows in an upper card position, maybe sometimes going up against John Cena or one of the top guys. But for the most part, I think he's just going to be seen as an upper mid-carder, and I think the WWE title run is unlikely for him at this point, but never say never, of course. All right, this one comes from Akil. Hey Aaron, never miss an episode. What are the chances of a non-American star like Cesaro or Kevin Owens becoming the face of the company? Well, I don't really feel that it matters much if you're from America or not. There have been plenty of people not from America that have been top stars in WWE. Bret Hart was the face of the company for a while, and he's Canadian. So it really doesn't make a difference, and I don't think WWE discriminates. It's just a matter of whoever comes in and gets over the fans. That's the guy that WWE goes with. Or if you are very muscular and WWE thinks that you can be a good role model for kids and you could sell T-shirts. If your name is John Cena, basically, then they'll push you, whether you're from Boston, Massachusetts, or Canada, or the North Pole. Doesn't matter. If WWE thinks they can market you, then you're going to be the face of the company. And then they will run you into the ground. They will go to the well until it's completely 100% dry, and then they have nothing. And then they have several years of declining business, and then hopefully eventually a new star comes along. But WWE, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. It is what it is. All right, I'm in a grumpy mood today, apparently. This is fun. I'm going to do one more question here and then wrap this up. This one comes from John G. Song Man. Hey Aaron, have you been sick of Raw putting tag matches in the main event and Divas matches, Divas tag team matches? Please answer in video. Well, I understand why they're doing the Divas tag matches, because they have a faction war going on right now. They have 3 different groups going back and forth. So I think WWE's just taking advantage of that and doing these tag team matches, these 6 women matches. But I'm hopeful that they'll focus on one-on-one. I'm hopeful that Nikki will lose the title before she breaks AJ's streak. I'm not getting my hopes up on that, but I'd like to see Charlotte win it from Nikki at SummerSlam. Once again, not getting my hopes on it. I do think it's getting a little bit overkill if WWE keeps doing the Diva tag matches every week. But it's looking like what they're going to do for the time being is one singles match and then doing a tag match or a multi-person match, doing 2 different matches on Raw. That seems to be the pattern right now. So, people should be happy. The people that want the Divas division having more of an emphasis, you should be happy. You're getting 2 matches on Raw every week now with a decent amount of time, which is better than what they were getting before. And WWE's trying to condition the fans to take the Divas matches more seriously. And as far as tag matches in the main event, what I'm really sick of, I've said this many times, I'm sick of guys coming out at the beginning of the show having a one-on-one match, and then somebody interferes, and another guy interferes, and then that match gets turned into a tag match as the main event. WWE does this, seems like almost every other week on television, and I'm so tired of it. It seems like it's mandatory. Every time you have a pay-per-view, like for Night of Champions, for example, you have one guy facing another guy. You have 2 different singles matches, and WWE, it's mandatory that you have to do a tag team match. No, you don't always have to do a tag team match with guys that are facing off in different matches. But WWE just does it by default because they can, and it fills up time. But I'd like to see things change up a little bit. I'm just tired of the same pattern. All right, so this was me ranting and raving. So I'll get all the comments now on YouTube about, oh, you do nothing but complain, and why don't you just stop watching? All that mumbo jumbo. Whatever, and then next video I'll be happy. I'll say, yeah, Raw wasn't that bad, and then I'll get all the comments on Twitter from people saying you're paid by WWE to say positive things about them. You guys are awesome. That's a great thing about the internet. Everyone has an opinion, and I know some people out there are trolling, and some people are just dead serious and dumb or whatever. I don't know. But it is what it is, and I'm having fun with NoDQ&A video. Leave a comment. I'm sure some of you will have interesting comments. YouTube.com/NoDQCAW. Check out NoDQ.com, of course, and check out the other videos. I was at EWF this weekend, recorded a segment with Wayne Needham. He's going to be coming back with Ring Scoops on NoDQ very soon, and you can check out the video with Jeff's son, Dylan. We had a lot of fun with that. Check out those videos. Check out all the videos. Check out Noah Donish. If you have time to kill and you want to kill brain cells, watch Noah Donish. I love you, Noah, by the way. And on that note, I will see you guys next time for NoDQ&A video.